So you want to be world champion? No one can deny that the top of the motor racing tree is exciting and glamorous. But you'll need ability, talent, determination, and a great deal of luck to get there. Of the thousands trying each year, very few get a chance to become world champion. But whatever your ambition, the advice is always the same. Once you've made the decision to race, and you can never start too early, get some karting experience. This will develop natural ability in a unique way. At its highest level, it's highly competitive. Then it's back to school. A racing school will teach you basic theories and discipline in the classroom and prevent simple mistakes on the track. You'll learn that a fast exit speed from a corner is crucial, achieved by smoothness and an expanding radius to open out the curve as power is applied. A concept adapted in different ways on every corner at every circuit.
All the way down to Woodcote. Probably the most difficult at Silverstone, mainly due to a hump at the clipping point. But having got the turning in point right, a constant radius should bring the car in close to its clipping point, 6 inches away from the curbing, 2 yards before the end. And at this instant, you should be pointing at the green speaker poles in front of that advertisement in order to get the exit line of the car right. That's all very well in theory, but let's see how it works out in practice.
At school, you'll mix with others at your level, as well as those with more experience, the old hands. Try to analyze and memorize all the advice you're given. This pupil has turned in too early, a typical beginner's error. The instructor will explain his mistake and demonstrate where the turn-in and clipping points should have been.
You must wait until your front wheel is actually alongside that black square of tarmac to the left of the car. Then you can turn into the corner, but not before. All right? Sort that one out. Into first.
Whether you agree with the advice or not, its real value may only become apparent when you're racing. While you're still at school, you should be achieving competitive times. And you'll know if you are. If you have any real potential, this is where it will show. Then, if you decide to move on, you'll need proper protective clothing before you go testing or racing. Safety is the major reason. Let's face it, motor racing is dangerous. But a smart appearance also counts. A good driver should be presentable and promotable, as well as safe. This underwear is not designed for warmth. The polo neck, long johns, balaclava and socks provide about 30 seconds of fire protection. Overalls can be bought in various specifications and colours. Generally, the more layers of fireproofing, the more resistant they'll be. The same rule applies to gloves, and shoulder straps are essential if a driver has to be lifted out of his car. Crash helmets are graded and can be either open or full face. The higher the grade, the safer they are, each having an approval sticker with an expiry date. For racing, full face helmets are best. Shoes should be fireproof and should have nothing which might catch on the pedals. Finally, it's a good idea to get insurance for your kit and a bag to carry and protect it. Then a car. First, decide which route you want to take. Saloons, sports cars, or single-seaters, with Grand Prix racing at the top of the tree. The majority choose single-seaters, as a switch to another category later on is much easier. Probably the best starting point in single-seaters is something like Formula Ford. This accepted breeding ground for talent first appeared in 1967, when 1600cc Ford Cortina engines were used. It provides highly competitive single-seater racing at low cost. Several world champions began their careers in this formula. Today's cars are a far cry from their 60s counterparts. They're more advanced, but controls on tyres and engines continue to keep costs down. Contact manufacturers and look for proper backup support. Talk to the experts. Keep an eye on the race results. It's easier to choose a car when you know how it competes. It may even be possible to hire. With different engines available, it's essential to contact the builders and study their results. Motor racing costs money. You'll have to decide the best way to spend the resources you have. Read the motorsport publications, and if you're looking for sponsors, make sure you're professional and well-informed in your approach. Don't just photocopy letters. The motorhomes and big trucks of professional teams are an advantage if you can afford them, but they're not essential. You have to prove yourself if you want to attract sponsors, so make sure you give good value for money. Driving skill alone won't win races. No matter how good a driver you are, you won't win unless your car is set up correctly. Whatever resources you have, use them wisely. There are many crucial adjustments. Ride height is one of them. Most cars are designed for a particular ride height, and it should be observed, with the weight distributed evenly on each wheel. Changing the front and rear ride heights alters the handling characteristics. Try it in testing and see what happens, but don't wear out the bottom of the car. Toe in, the degree to which the wheels are not in parallel with each other, as well as camber, the inclination of the wheel relative to the chassis, and caster, which endows the car with stability and reflects the willingness of the steering wheel to center itself, all affect the speed and feel of a car. Try adjustments on test days so you can determine what effect they have on overall performance. A good and fast driver may not be a mechanic, but he should know the effect mechanical changes have on his car. You, as the driver, must be comfortable if you're to be in full control. Seat belts should be tight, but not too tight, and the seat correctly adjusted so you can reach all the pedals. Full throttle is vital if you don't want to lose speed. A footrest acts as a useful brace and stops you riding the clutch. The gear lever should be within easy reach and all the gauges clearly visible on the circuit. When you're strapped in, all switches and the fire extinguisher must be accessible. The more testing you can do, the better. Only don't wear out the equipment. Analyze your own and the car's performance after each session. Keep records of all practices and races, as well as the settings, speeds, times, and so on for each circuit. That way you can set your car up quickly for any circuit the next time you're there. About 2 months before your first race, contact the organisers. Send in your entry in plenty of time and be sure it's correctly filled in and signed. Check the regulations and any special requirements for the meeting and make certain you have the correct passes and in the right quantity.
Morning, girls.
Arrive at the circuit after a good night's rest in plenty of time for signing on. Do this first, but make certain you have a valid medical certificate, club membership and licence, which is obtained from the RAC Motorsports Association, the national governing body. You'll be fined or barred from the race if they're out of date or have been forgotten.
Where do we go?
Underneath, I think.
Number 24. There you go. That's a new one. Entrance sign on again.
Entrance sign on each day.
Yeah.
I'm a sign on one.
Really?
Yes.
Good man. Cheers.
Don't forget your license.
After signing on, be early at scrutineering. This is a basic safety check. Your team should have already checked everything beforehand. When your turn comes, have the tools to remove the bodywork to allow the scrutineer to carry out his checks. The scrutineer will inspect the condition of your helmet to make sure that it's serviceable, but you should not wear a helmet that's been dropped or damaged. A clean, tidy, properly prepared car will be passed fit, and you'll receive the ticket which allows you to practice. Fix this to the car where it can be seen and checked.
Attention paddock, Formula Ford 1600s for Heat 1. Can we have you in the paddock assembly area now, please?
Warm your engine up gradually to its working temperature in good time for practice. And be in the assembly area early, strapped in and helmeted. Often it's first in and first out, and a clear track gives a definite advantage. Start concentrating on the job in hand. Technique, lines, car settings and so on should by now be familiar. Add the will to win. Your team should have their equipment and tools ready to hand and be well rehearsed. This is where the preparation will pay off. In practice, don't take unnecessary risks. Only when your experience grows should you try to gauge your opponents and look for passing places. On the track, do keep concentrating. Don't lock the wheels. Get the turn-in point correct. Look for braking points. Go easy on the brakes. Change gear smoothly and at the right time. Keep the power on. Watch out for bumps. And don't turn too wide. Make sure you can see your pit crew and that signals can be read and understood. Warn them if you decide to go into the pits. After practice, collect your times as soon as they're published. Check for mistakes, and if you find any, ask for them to be corrected. Think about what needs improving and how. Check and make final adjustments to your car. Make sure you have enough fuel for the race and keep a close check on the time. Compose yourself and warm the car up gradually when you get to the collecting area. After the warming up lap, take your place on the starting grid. Any gradients should be used to advantage, and your mechanic should check the road and tyres for oil and debris. Don't make last-minute changes unless you're certain they'll pay off. The 3, 2 and 1 minute boards will be shown, and you should be mentally counting with them. Select the right gear and watch the lights. Red changes to green and you're on your way. So you're in your first race, but what have you got to remember? If possible, go to a racing school. Find out if you've really got any talent. Don't cut corners on safety. Get the best equipment you can afford. Motor racing is dangerous. Plan your racing career with care. Decide which class of racing you're aiming for. Saloons, sports cars, or single-seaters. If you want to be world champion, start with single-seaters, like Formula Ford 1600. Be professional when looking for sponsors and give them value for money. Don't rush into buying a car. Consult the experts and talk to the manufacturers. Check which makes are winning. Set up your car correctly. Understand the effect mechanical changes can have on your performance. Keep proper records. Part of being properly organised is knowing how your car performs at each circuit. Finally, when you're on the track, concentrate. It's vital if you want to win.